Smells later. Mute.
These are familiar scenes at job recruitment exercises in Nigeria. There is a special difference in this particular instance, though, as these are qualified medical doctors applying for jobs overseas, in Saudi Arabia to be precise. What you can see behind me right now is the process of the recruitment of Nigerian doctors by the Saudi Arabian authorities. This exercise is currently ongoing at the Sheraton Hotel and Towers, right here in the Nigerian capital, Abuja. Nigerian resident doctors have been on strike for almost a month in their demand for better working conditions, and negotiations with the government have failed repeatedly. And the prospect of working for the Saudi government is now seen as a big escape.
The federal government is showing the cold shoulder attitude, doesn't show any kind of responsibility or being careful about the situation. I can't imagine, I can't believe my Honorable Minister of Health came out and he threatened us. So I think it does not make sense, or it doesn't make much. I mean, it wasn't the situation. To be candid, we're very, very disappointed. I personally am disappointed. When I go to where I work in a very critical care services of the hospital. But basic things that we need, we don't have. Some things I used to put in my money to buy what I need, just for the sake of the patient. And to worsen the situation and to make the matter worse in day by day. And to worsen the situation and to make the matter worse in day by day. From the hills.
I think this
patient. And to worsen the situation and to make the matter worse in day by day, there is no any progress. To escape from the hills in the society.
What do you mean by hills of society?
A lot of discouraging things. You see banditry, see kidnapping, incessant strike, and all those stuff. And if you can get a place where you can walk, a place that is calm, a place where you can use your skill and you can be well enumerated, is it not better?
For Vivian Okolo here, it is more of a situation of heartbreak as she expresses frustration over the ever-worsening situation in the healthcare system, with this particular case in point.
I left medical school April 2011. My teacher is here. My own teacher, the first person I cited here, was my teacher, a seasoned pediatric consultant. You know what it means? My teacher that taught me how many years
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, sorry about the hitch there. There was internet connection problem. So, but in the video, you will see one of the clips showing the Minister of Defense moving around in Abuja with AK-47 in his hand inside an armored tanked vehicle with all security details. That's how it moves around. When we showed the video last week, it drew the attention of the government in Nigeria, who denied that that was the Minister of Defense. And so today, they said instead that that man that was entering that car was the rector of the school, Nigerian Army College of Environmental Science and Technology. So today I had my producer get me the pictures of the two men, which you will see shortly, just to make the case. Please see these two pictures. This is the Minister of Defense that was in that picture. And this is the rector that the government claim is in that video. Now, thank you, producer. And now we are not here as activists. We are here trying to advocate for a better Nigeria. The overarching viewpoint that we made from our last discussion was that regardless, there is insecurity in Nigeria. If at the top government level, especially the military, the defense department, people are scared enough to be in armored tank and palling around with around the street with AK-47, even though they have all these details, who are also armed. What is the fate of the common man in the street? And so today, we will continue with our discussion on insecurity in Nigeria and youth empowerment, because youth are caught in the middle of the two sides. They are the one they receive on the receiving end, and they are also the ones that are partaking to perpetuate this insecurity. How do we address it? And so today, Dr. Nana, I will crave your indulgence to help us open this discussion. And let me have a background for you just a bit. Can you give us an opening speech on insecurity and youth empowerment in Nigeria? In the last program, recall, you alluded to the fact that empowerment and insecurity cannot work together. If you may, what can you give us as an overview of the dangers of insecurity to a nation like Nigeria? Thank you.
I hope I'm unmuted. Let's see, yeah. Well, thank you for that question. I think we have all watched the video clip, regardless whether that is something that is a one-off or something that is consistent. It's not acceptable for a nation's high-ranking official to be carrying AK-47 around. So that said, coming back to the continuation of our today's topic, insecurity and youth empowerment part 2. Generally, insecurity can inhibit a nation's development. We have to understand that it's not like a child's play. I know we talked about Nigeria not being a child's play the last episode. It's true, it's not a child's play. When people feel insecure in a nation, so many things can go wrong. Our research has revealed that a nation that has insecurity is powerless. The relationship between insecurity and underdevelopment is stronger than the relationship between peace and development. So when a nation is insecure, that nation it's almost like it's a written off nation to have anything to do with their development. In other words, insecurity can simply crumble a nation's economy faster than we can all imagine. So without a functioning and reliable economy, what is the hope for the youth? What is the hope for the youth? Where is the future of that nation? Where is it? Therefore, to have a working security in a nation, We need infrastructure, basic infrastructures to function. In 2018 that I was in Nigeria, the roads that I used to pass before from Benin to Zaria when I was in school, those roads were completely gone, dilapidated. So if we cannot have people living in Nigeria do not have roads to even travel back and forth, and yet there's insecurity there, what is the hope for the future? So this is where I want us to discuss today. So whatever it takes, the government, whether it's through privatization of electricity, at least to start with, the youth will be engaged. You alluded in the beginning that the youth are even helping to perpetuate these problems that is happening, but the power is in their hands. If we have a functioning government that can create recreation center for the youths, then that's where invention will start. If they can use their energy positively into developing something, then there will be invention. Because there's electricity, there comes commercialization, leading to innovation for Nigerian government, or for the Nigerian citizen, or for the Nigerian society. So this is where I want us to take this topic to today.
Thank you, Dr. Nana, for that insightful comment. Dr. Okavwe, welcome to the program. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Loud and clear.
Dr. Okavwe, what should be the role of crowdfunding, microfinancing? I'm trying to lay a background for you to develop and just to pose with whatever you have to say as an introduction statement. Crowdfunding, microfinancing, soft loan, in all of this that we are talking about. We have heard the stories about how Chinese men are now able to literally walk into banks in Nigeria and get loans. Yet, youths of Nigeria who graduate from after serving the country can't even get soft loan based on their qualification. Just to go to a bank and get a loan from the bank, that's not possible. We have simply because they are not able to bring collaterals to stand and get those loans. Again, how do you, at the end of the day, why can't the financial sector help to ameliorate the situation? Why can't, in Nigeria, we have almost millions of churches, literally everywhere in the street of Nigeria, we have churches, and we have leaders of churches. What role can this church leadership also play to help the government? We all know that government alone cannot make changes. It has to be partnership between government and all these institutions. Last week, remember you alluded to the fact you talked about institutionalization and all of that. So give us your opening statement based on all this background.
Thank you very much, the organizer, Dr. Nana, and the moderator, Dr. Chris, and every viewers and participants that is joining us today. I appreciate everybody's presence. My opening note is going to be that after the session last Sunday, I kept having personal reflection. It's just like reminding me of a problem that has been obscure for some time. So I want to appreciate Dr. Nana for bringing up a very timely discussion, because the issues kept reverberating within me, like I have neglected some aspect of my patriotism. So I want to quickly say it. Some of us here, we are privileged to have good education. And in the crave for betterment, the intellectuals have a strong role to play. The intellectuals are those to think for the society. You don't expect the politicians to think for the society, but most of us intellectuals have absconded from our basic roles. So I see this platform as a good opportunity for me to go back to reassert my original obligation towards Nigeria. So thank you once again, Dr. Nana. Having said that, from some critical investigation and research after the last session, I took a deep thought and found out that what we were resounding on that day boils down to, Dr. Nana was so good and her team to pick the concept of youth empowerment amidst insecurity in Nigeria. First of all, somebody who is secure does not need empowerment. If you stretch the meaning of security deep within its meaning at the second order understanding, once there is insecurity, you talk about empowerment. So both concepts presuppose each other. For you to say there is insecurity means there is urgent need for empowerment. Once the people are empowered, they will be secured. What am I trying to say? Let's take a stance from the American society. In America, for instance, we talk about social security. Now, I want us to take the insecurity issue in Nigeria higher than the surface level of fighting and bombing. Let's look at it, if you permit me to annex it with the concept with the prefix social. Let's look at it as social security. Social security guarantees safety of life, guarantees good health system, guarantees provision availability of food and housing, guarantees good education, guarantees how everything you want to say. Like in the last session, I made mention about the institutions as the social avenues where people come together to form an agenda for the betterment of their lives. What I do with my family doesn't concern you in some sense. What you do with your family doesn't concern you in some sense. But what all these families do together as a society, as a nucleus of people living together under the same arrangement, once people come together as a group, it is a social arrangement. So in Nigeria, do we have any plan? Do we have a plan for the social benefits of Nigeria citizenry? That's why I want to take a lift from it. Talking about social security. In America, once you are a citizen and you pay your tax, everything is in order for you. Social security guarantees some level of physical security from danger, provision of housing, even retirement benefits, even support. Like during the COVID, we saw what the social security was dishing out to people who are non-citizens of America. They were supporting them. But Nigeria, we're even talking about how to feed and how to stay alive. That's the way we are in Nigeria for now. So without wasting time, I would want to go straight to the clue that Dr. Chris, the moderator, wants me to begin from today. That in Nigeria, the Chinese and the Asian world are exploiting Nigeria now by getting loans and doing businesses in Nigeria. So what is the impact of crowdfunding? And that's what they call venture capitalism, then microfinancing and soft loans in Nigeria. First of all, our social security is not established. You can't give loan to somebody you don't know his whereabouts. We don't have a database in Nigeria. We don't have a record system. I want to tell you that I am so sure Nigerian government does not know that me and you will live in America. They don't have any record. It's in Nigeria that the failed government that we have in place now, the government of Buhari, appointed dead people as special advisors to the governor, to the presidency. I will not be surprised if Nigerians will even vote for a dead man because we don't have a record. If the number one citizen and his team don't know that some old people have timed out and they appointed them into power, that means the new generation that are graduating from schools and getting trained, nobody knows them. They keep reverberating around the few old hands that they are aware of. So if you want to give loans, microfinancing, crowdfunding is very good for development. And that takes us to what we said in the last week about privatization. Privatization is not only when the government gives loan to everybody. There can be venture capitalism, where a group of individuals who have what it is, give loan to people. Okay, bring it down to America. It is only in Nigeria and Africa and some other underdeveloped countries that you want to buy a car, you want to buy materials for your industry, you have to pay cash. But if the social security system is working, you have a database of everybody's whereabouts, you have the fingerprint of everybody living in Nigeria, you can go buy equipment for industry without paying a dime, without any advance payment, and you pay recurring payments in installments. That's what happens here in America, and it builds your credit. In Nigeria, we don't have somebody who buys credit is seen as a debtor. So the concept of credit in Nigeria is seen as concept of being in debt. But the concept of credit in advanced world is having strong monetary power to be able to do business. So first of all, I will support fund crowding, crowdfunding, microfinancing, soft loans, if Nigeria is going to move ahead. But then I don't think anybody will be ready to give loan to you when even the Nigerian government does not have a record of you. So our database and our social security will need to be reconstructed. And that will bring me to the topic. Everything I want to say today, apart from questions I will be asked, is going to be focusing on a new concept which I want to introduce. It's not like I'm the originator of the concept, but to this discussion, I want to inject that concept into this discussion. And that's the concept of social reconstruction. So in the next time I'll have time to speak, I will expand on it. But for the benefit of doubt, social reconstruction simply proposes social change. When we say social change, it means there is urgent need for us to change or solve or resolve the disillusionment or the inertia that exists in the socio-political space of Nigeria. I will rest my case at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Okabwe. Barrister Babatunde, my friend, you and I know very well that there is no other prevalent institution in Nigeria than the religious organization and the religious sector. As a follow-up, why have they failed to be of help in ameliorating the situation, and what can our religious organizations do to partner with government and indigenes to an amicable solution of the security situation in Nigeria? Barrister Babatunde. Unmute yourself, sir. Unmute, sir.
My honor. Hello?
Yes,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Greetings to everyone. I observe all the due protocols. Thank you, especially Dr. Mrs. Akaeze, for giving me this opportunity. I quite appreciate you, and I appreciate your family. Yeah. Without much ado, unfortunately, I didn't participate in the section 1 of this topic, which is a very germane topic that every living being that is associated with Nigeria needs to be familiar with. If they are not actively discussing it, they should be familiar with it, the issue of security. Before I address the direct question asked by Dr. Akaeze, the husband, I don't know if it was touched last week, but I'd like to address us with the issue of what actually is insecurity. Because my observation is, we tend to align with the minuscule part of the definition of insecurity, which is the physical insecurity. But what actually is insecurity? Simple definition is a state of apprehension, a state, of anxiety, where you are afraid something might happen that you might not be able to handle. That is actually the simple definition of security. Now we have different types of insecurity. Are we talking about physical insecurity? which the last speaker, Dr. Ukavie, I think, mentioned part of. We have physical insecurity. We have economic insecurity. We have social insecurity. And we have, which is the one that we are talking about, social security and all that. That is social insecurity. When we talk about physical insecurity, then that's when we look at, police enforcement, danger to our physical being, right? That is when we are talking about physical insecurity. But we can also look at what is political insecurity. And that is why some politicians go overboard into killing one another, because they were insecure in their political system and in the fact that whether they can win an election or whether people will believe in them. They are so insecure. So they must get rid of the other people before they can progress. That is insecurity. Politically, they are not secured. Physical insecurity we've talked about is when people are apprehensive of the fact that danger may come to them if they move from their spot or if they do anything. So all these insecurities, nature of living in Nigeria, what does it do to us? It affects our mental being. And when our mental being is affected, you see people misbehaving, and that's when you ask, are you mad? Are you serious? Are you really going to do this? Are you doing this? Because their mental faculty has been affected simply because of the state of their mind. They are insecure in their environment. So when we look at all this, we will be able to look at what is the solution. So first of all, we need to know what is the background. What are we talking about? What are we not secured about? Why are we not secured? I don't know if that is what we intend to do today. But for me now to move, so I will crave your indulgence to redirect me if you want me to expatiate on the introduction that I just laid about insecurity and what it meant and how it is affecting us. But to address the question that you posed in terms of our religious organizations, how have they failed, or why are they not performing? I'd like to start with, I think it was Peter Drucker that said, the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence itself, but that we are acting, or we are trying to act with the yesterday's logic. That is the turbulence. That is the problem. That is the danger. We are in a trouble, but we are focusing our attention on actions that actually led us into that trouble. Our religious organizations are criminal, if I would say that. They are criminal in nature. So how do you use a criminal activities or a sanctioned criminal setup to tackle the larger criminal activities in the society? We are only kidding ourselves. I stand to be corrected. If we had 1 million pastors, 1 million imam or alfas in Nigeria, 99% of them are indulging in some criminal activities or the other. So the question is, how do you focus your attention for solution in the hands that is committing the crime? I would not look towards religious organization for solution to our criminal activities and insecurity in Nigeria. Why would I say that? I'll say that because I've seen have participated. I have joined churches. I have visited mosques, and I have friends in Islamic organizations. So, without prejudice to any particular religion, if a religion would tell me that it's only when you kill someone that doesn't believe in what I believe in, that is when I will get to heaven or Al-Jannah or paradise. How do I now focus on that religion to help me with the menace in the society? Or a religion that believes that it's only through Jesus Christ that you can get to heaven, if there is any heaven, and any other person, you can't deal with them. And I apologize for churches that don't preach that, but I know churches that do actually practically preach that you cannot be dealing with people that are not Christians or that do not worship the way we worship. So if I have an organization that discriminates and actively enforces that discrimination, I don't see how that will bring peace into the world. Now, we have Christians in Nigeria that are suffering from physical insecurity. We have Christians in Nigeria that are suffering from economic insecurity. We have Christians that belong to political parties and they are suffering also from political insecurity. Within them, have they found peace in their churches to actually let them understand that you cannot proceed like this? You are a Christian, whether through one means or the other, God has blessed you, as they will say, even when they steal the money, God has blessed them. You are a billionaire and you have companies, but in your company, you have Christians in your company that work with you, but you actively tell these Christians that work with you to cheat on their customers, indirectly or directly. How do you solve the solution in the society as a Christian or even as a Muslim? People come to you for rituals and you kill other people to perform rituals for some other people. How does that solve the problem in the society? So for me, I would totally remove for now. Maybe if things changes, we can start using our Christian organization or Muslim organization or religious organizations to help the society. I will move the religious part of it into the family and say, okay, each family, what are we doing? Do we have any control over members of our family? I do ask that question. If you are a father and your son underage, up until maybe 18 or 20, is actually participating in some criminal activities or creating apprehension in the society, I want to ask, where is your father? What is your mother doing about this? Because I believe if the family, nucleus family, is able to control, I know there are some children that you can't tell them what to do. They will still go out and misbehave. But if the larger part of the society, the family nucleus, can focus on ourselves, focus on our children, I think from there, we can start growing out and see what is going on in the society. We have a pastor as the vice president of the country, Nigeria. How many other Christians have influence on him to actually tell him this you cannot do, and he will obey them? We have a staunch adherent of Islamic religion as the president of Nigeria. Is he behaving according to the tenets of that religion, or is he behaving according to the tenets of that religion? And what I meant by that, repeating it twice, is because we might not know. Maybe he's actually doing what that religion tells him to do. Be careless, be uncaring towards other people's plights. If other people are not Muslim, you don't have to take care of them. Maybe that's what the religion tells him to do. So how do we now go into that religion and say that religion should help our society? It's not going to work. So we need to look at ourselves as individuals, as families. That's where I think the issue of religion can come into play, not looking into religion organization as an institution that will help, because most of the leaders of that association, I used to contribute into CAN in Nigeria when they about 5 years ago, when they arrested, they kidnapped a pastor in the north, and they sent some information out, and it got to me that we should contribute money so that they will be able to bail out or kind of pay ransom for that pastor. But the pastor was killed, and they kept asking for more money. And I'm like, okay, so what's the money for? You are not able to do anything. In the West, we have larger population of Christians, but evil is happening in the North. I don't see Pastor Adeboye marching to the North and say, oh, whatever will happen, let it happen. Kill me if you may. Esther did it in the Bible. You know, if I lose my life, I lose my life, but I must save my people. So I don't see Pastor Adeboye. I don't see Pastor Edepo. I don't see Chris Richard. I don't see these big men of God marching to the North and say, okay, we are killing our brethren. We are killing Christians here. Kill all of us if you can't stop, or we want you to stop. So I would like not to go too much into the religion to look for the solution. I have some list of solutions into the youth unemployment and insecurity. As time goes on, if time permits us, I will go into that, but I would like to stop on the issue of religion at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrister. Thank you so much, Barrister Babatunde. Dr. Owen, I know you have a background in law, a mother, an educator, and a mentor to many out here in America. One of the speakers from last week suggested that family, just like Barrister Babatunde just spoke so eloquently about, that family is the bedrock for most societies, and suggested that our society, or the decadence in our society, should be traced back to our homes. So what is the problem? And where is the cultural value in all of this, Dr. Owen? Please unmute yourself.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Dr. and Dr. Mrs.
Thank you.
And also the viewers and fellow speakers. I definitely think that a value and a mindset shift will help with the issue of security and empowering the youth. Charity, they say, begins from home. And the Nigeria of today, we all know, is different from the Nigeria that we grew up in our generation. I do recall that growing up, it was communal living. It was such that if you did something and your neighbor knew, if you did something wrong and your neighbor knew you did something wrong, they were sure to caution you and also report you to your parents. So you got a double whooping. So that kept the values that the core values we had were moral values to do what is right. And coming back to today, we talk about youth empowerment, we talk about security, and we're talking about the family. What's the role of the family in all this? We all grew up from families, okay? So the first people that we meet are our parents or uncles and aunties that help develop our character and develop those moral beliefs in us. Those moral beliefs are the things that help us. intertwined in us so much so that when you talk about empowerment, you're empowering something that gives someone confidence to do better in something that they already have either an inkling about, a skill about, or they have a passion for, okay? So when the foundation is broken or cracked, there is a problem, because when you build on a foundation that is cracked, it is bound to crumble. The situation right now in Nigeria is, I would say, the insecurity problem. We need the government to step in to do the basic things, like I think Dr. Henry mentioned that. And if the core things are not in place, if the basic amenities are not in place, then to build on it, it becomes more and more difficult. It becomes difficult because you haven't laid the foundation. So going back to the family, I don't want to take on somebody else's topic, but going back to the family, where we have moved from communal living to individualistic living, it breeds a lot of things. It breeds selfishness. It breeds oppression. It breeds greed and a lack of empowerment. Because what it's doing is, if I'm an individual and I'm bringing up my child on like the way, which is what is more prevalent now because of the Western culture that is being absorbed, and it's making certain things a little bit on like what we grew up in. So you find out everyone's living for themselves. But back in the day where people will come together as a unit, as a family, to be able to grow, to be able to nurture the children, to be able to empower the children. You empower them by doing different things, by teaching them the right way, by ensuring that they don't go on with the wrong path. Back in the day, I remember we were growing up, little kids, you just say, hey, what do you want to become? You want to be a doctor? What do you want to be? You want to be a nurse, practitioner? What do you want to be? These days, everybody wants to come to America. So you ask the youth of these days, they're looking for a quick fix. So the mindset needs to change. If we recognize who we are Nigerians, and we should be content with what we have, then we will build what we have. But we have moved far and wide from that. You have parents who are encouraging their kids from when they are young, you are going to get a fix-it-all kind of degree by getting to America and making money. Maybe you get there and you pluck money from the trees. If that is the kind of empowerment that we have these days, you are breeding thieves, and that is a problem with security. You are breeding people who will oppress other people. You are breeding people who will also bring about emotional insecurity to others, including themselves. So the family definitely has a role to play. The church has a role to play, because when we talk about morals, based on morals from the family, we also talk about morals from the religious beliefs, because you're growing up years, you're remembering how your parents teach you how to do things, starting from just basic things like you eat your food and you keep your plate in the right, you wash your plate and you keep it in the right place. If you do not teach a child how to do that, when the child grows old, he will never know how to do it. Now, on the church side, or on the whatever religious affiliation you belong to, on the religious side, there are religious morals and values that are imbibed on people. So where the church has failed to take their place, what replaces it is what is fed to the people through social media or whatever they receive. So there is a lot of work that we need to do. What is the solution? My take is we go back to the basics. We should not forget our identity. When we start losing our identity, we are plugging a square piece in a round hole, and it's not going to fit. And I think that is the basic problem that we have. Until we start from the basic, ensuring that we encourage people to go back to their culture, There are things that are in our culture that are very valuable. We have respect. We have that communal living. No, that is keeping your brother, being your brother's keeper, knowing what is right and moving away from what is wrong at the expense of whatever, because the end result is what you look at. When you're growing up, they teach you to live for the generations to come, to leave a name behind for the generations to come. These days, people are living for the moment. They're living for the year, not even the next year. They're living for the year. I want to make it now. I don't care about tomorrow. So if I have to go steal, I'll go steal. Now, the society has provided for that because the government haven't done what they're supposed to do. But when there is repercussion on the family side, on the family unit, then when you think about your identity, where you're coming from and what will happen to your family name, you will regress. So I think we should think about all that, and it will help to bring some kind of stability, and it will encourage people to empower the youth. Because for me, I do some mentoring, but before I do mentoring, I have to evaluate who I'm mentoring. So if I'm mentoring you and you don't have the drive to be able to do what you want to do, the first homework is you have to set your values. The values have to align with where you are going. And if the values are far-fetched from where you're going, you have to go back to the basics. So I'll stop there for now.
Thank you, Dr. Owen. What an insightful commentary by you. Thank you so much. Mr. I see your hand, iPhone. We're just inching to the question side. Please hold up. We have one more guest to speak, and that's my good friend, Mr. Chidozie. Mr. Chidozie, literally before we came on set, I received this message. Ogun, gunmen kidnap Odogbolu local government NYCN coordinator, Olamilekon, demands $30 million. Naira. Now, you come from the background of a solid military professionalism. But in our last episode, you strongly argued for strong institutions and privatization. Mr. Chidozie, are you listening?
Yes, I am.
In addition, Dr. Ukavwe presented a scenario, if you recall, where a police in Nigeria, if they stopped two individuals who are engaged in fight, and one is Dangote's son, Dr. Ukavwe made the judgment that if the police asked the identity of the two and found out that one was a Obasanjo's son and the other was a Mekunu in quote son, they quickly judge over there. They probably will even shoot at the poor man's son. And they say, why you they look for this Oga trouble? You understand? Is that bad? So this is the situation in Nigeria. What say you? How did we get here? And what can we do to address this? Mr. Chidozie.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chris. And thank you everyone that has spoken today. You guys have been so marvelous. You guys have opened me up to a whole wider views to certain things. My point is kidnapping is something that I feel like it became rampant during the Niger Delta insurgents, because of their demands, and they did it for good reasons. But today now, everyone is doing it for the financial benefit and the financial gain. First of all, there's one solution to kidnapping: stop paying ransoms. The more you pay ransoms, the more people find it as an avenue to make wealth. So if we keep paying ransoms to these guys, it's just gonna keep on going on and on. Two, creation of jobs for the youth. Like I said the last time, you quoted me in privatization. There's a reason why I'm a strong, believer that privatization saves the nation. we have a country that has been run by a government for 60 years, and every single year we dwell and believe that the promises during their campaigns is going to come to pass. A good question is, Dr. Chris, if the Nigerian power holding company is sold to you right now for, like, let's say $100 million, and or like a good example is the NNPC. Any single day that we are not actually distilling crude oil, you're losing money. You could literally fly expatriates from anywhere in the world, Brazil, China, America, to come in and fix the refinery so that you can make products and sell. That's why I am a very good supporter of privatization, because the government could leave the refinery down for the next 6 months without really caring. But if you and I put money together and buy the refinery tomorrow, every single day we have to produce gas at all costs. So that's my point on that side. The issue of security in Nigeria can't really go away with the rate of unemployment we have in that country. It's just gonna keep going on and on. But I also feel like the security forces could do way better. We could use tracking devices and paying these ransoms. Then the banking system has tried to curtail it. With the BVN and everything, bank transfers could be traced. With the limit in withdrawals, I feel like the government has tried in a certain way. I don't think anyone can really go to Nigerian bank today and just be like, can I get 30 million naira? And then they'll just give it to them. I also felt the kidnapping and the ransom thing was what, caused or resulted in those kind of decision makings in our banking sector. And they're really trying on that aspect. But I feel like as long as people still pay ransom, kidnapping is just going to continue to be a thing. So the security forces could do better, tracking devices, encouraging people to stop paying ransom. We're going to lose 1 or 2 people here and there, but when people realize it's no longer a profitable venture, I feel like we're going to get into a better situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chidozie. Dr. Okavwe, are you still there? Dr. Okavwe?
Yes, I'm here.
Institutionalization, privatization, meritocracy. That was recurrent and is still recurrent in this edition. What say you? Caption this for us.
Okay, quickly, I want to be straight to the point. In the last edition, we kind of suggested institutionalization, or if you like, call it institutional development. So I want to take a dive into it today. When we talk about institutional development, first of all, I want us to look at what we mean by institutions. When we talk about institutions here, we're talking about the social institutions. The reason I want to call it social institutions is because it is a means of people coming together to unite, to function together as a group, as a collective. So basically, the institutions can be seen as a formal arrangement. A formal arrangement among a society for a group of people living together in order for them to govern themselves and take care of themselves. That is why, to understand institutions, basically, there are 3 elements that could comprise of any institution. One is the formal or the written rules, which is like the code of laws, the written laws, the tax laws, the laws guiding contracts. These are formal and written rules. The another aspect of institutions is the unwritten or the informal rules. Now, you could look at things like culture, norms, values, religion. These are unwritten rules that govern people coming together to coordinate their life. Then the third aspect we have to be with the enforcement procedure of these written and unwritten rules. Putting everything together, it becomes an institution. Now, where the problem is now is looking at these fundamental cleavages of these 3 arms that make up the institution. In the Nigerian context, these 3 things are not in harmony. They are not functioning together. Why are they not functioning? Because the Nigerian institution is premised on an inherited pattern. In the last session, I mentioned that I don't want to throw the blame on the colonial masters. And a subsequent speaker said quoted Walter Rodney that the problem for development was caused by the white man. So I have been in class in Nigeria for 13 years, teaching students that the white man underdeveloped us, until I stumbled into some research and I had a reawakening that we agree the white man underdeveloped us. But the white man left us since 1960 with Nigeria as a case study. So who is underdeveloping who? After Walter Rodney wrote How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, other scholars have come up with the argument of how Africans underdevelop Africa. So that is the perspective I'm trying to look at. We agree that the white man must have done some attitude that made us underdeveloped. But since we got independence, what was the problem? Now, this is the problem. The colonial institutions were arranged as institutions of exploitation and oppression. Because before you can exploit somebody, you have to be oppressive so that the person will cooperate. Now, our leaders pursued political independence without emphasis on economic independence. So we got political independence, but the Western world kept us economically dependent. Now, the usual thing is that Kwame Nkrumah told us, seek first political liberation and every other thing will follow. When the every other thing failed to follow, the next step is going to be revolution. People are going to be aggressive towards their leaders. So now, where our leaders failed is this. After inheriting weak institutions, which were meant to exploit and oppress us, your failure to strengthen those institutions, to reawaken us and put us on the path of development, will lead your people to blame you and start throwing tantrums on you. So instead of our leaders to take their time to strengthen the institution, they decided to strengthen themselves politically so that they can hold on to this power forever and so that nobody can challenge them of misruling. So the time and process of post-colonialism has been spent on strengthening the politicians themselves instead of strengthening the political system. So having said that, if we really want to get anything right at this point, what we need to consider is, in the last session, somebody said something about national orientation. And I kind of criticized, but I didn't have a chance to give my concluding speech. So, but I wrote it down. I don't have a problem with national orientation. But the problem I have is that our national orientation has focused on the inessentials and neglected the essentials. Instead of talking about value, instead of talking about discipline, instead of talking about social justice, instead of talking of equality and equity, our national orientation, we are busy talking about tenure elongation, party system, political. My little child in the primary school in Nigeria is learning how many political parties in Nigeria. How does that give orientation to the child? Why don't you teach the child what is the correct political process for a democracy? So our national orientation program is premised on a wrong foundation, just the way our society is premised on a wrong institution. So if you want me to expand on the concept of institutional development for advancing empowerment of youth amidst insecurity, I will simply try to put it in this style. The barrister, Babatunde, said we should look again at the concept of insecurity. And I made it very clear in the last session that I do not oblige to looking at insecurity only as threats to life, because threats to life or constant threats to life weakens your mindset and your confidence. It makes you in a kind of inertia or disillusioned. It makes you lack self-confidence. So I said in the last session that it is appropriate to marry the concept of social insecurity with psychological insecurity. And that's where Barrister was trying to explore on this morning. The average Nigerian is not confident, lacks self-confidence, because The question is, what do you go do if I slap you? Army, look at what happened in the, I wouldn't stop giving practical examples. Look at what happened in Onitsha over the week, where a renowned Nigeria actor put on the attires of the Biafran flag as a cloth and went for a party. And he was arrested by soldiers and humiliated, molested. That's a Nigerian who is a noble, a role model to many Nigerian youths, disgraced publicly for putting on, the same way most of our youth have suffered for putting on this military camouflage. There's no rule in Nigeria that says the camouflage is a military uniform. That is not a military uniform. It is called camouflage. And if you put it on, it's a way of associating with the military to say, I recognize what you are doing. In the Catholic tradition, when a Reverend Father has served for so many years and is doing very well, the Pope gives him a position called Monsignor. That means, it means, I have seen your handwork. I have seen what you are doing. What is wrong if I put on military attires to associate with my military men to say, yes, you guys are doing very well? It's if you are not proud of yourself, you will be ashamed, like other people. So what they did in Onitsha in this last week is a show that the system is oppressive. The political leaders have strengthened themselves with the system and neglected strengthening the institution. It's a kind of, what can you do? Do you know I'm a military man? What can you do? You can't do nothing because I'm a military man. But you are just a common security outfit. That's the way we look at it. Your position is to serve, but not to lead. So if we want to do institutional development or strengthen this institution, we have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, what exactly do we need to come together for? We want development. What do we need this development? Then you begin to see the strides. That's why I talked the privatization you asked me about now. In the last session, I said, one of the things I disagree with youth empowerment when people say skill acquisition center. Tell me which skill acquisition center in Nigeria where they teach IT programs. This world is governed today with IT, programming, not how to type computer or how to own computer. That's old school, that's colonial mentality. You waste money and build skill acquisition center in our villages, and you ask our youth to come and enroll for sewing machine, to come and learn how to sew clothes, to come and learn how to do shoemaker. A governor in Nigeria bought shoemaker boxes as youth empowerment. That's insult on the masses' integrity. What is wrong if you build an industry in that state where they produce shoe, mechanized production, and employ these youth to run those equipment? Mm-hmm. That is the concept we have today in America. We talk of warehouse. If you want the system to move, invest in industrialization. But I also said it, I'm of the opinion that industrialization will not work, privatization will not work if the government does not provide the basic social amenities. That is why we need to come together again and say, okay, these institutions are weak. What do we do? Government, strengthen it. First of all, provide social amenities. Like I was born and brought up in Warri, Delta State. When I was schooling in secondary school in Efru, in boarding house, students who were dodging out in the night, nobody will tell you to run back because the place is dark, there's no light, somebody will block you on the road and steal anything you have from you. But one of the governors in Delta State put light all over, street light with generators, everything. Those lights shining everywhere already reduce the level of theft, reduce the level of pocket picking. Because when you see me, I see you, unless you have a gun or something difficult before you can chance me. But under the dark, people take a lot of opportunities and oppress people. So if the government makes sure that there is steady light, some of us here will want to invest back in Nigeria. People will invest in privatization. And that goes back to the original question I was asked. My first question today is about loans and investment. If there are social amenities, if you want to do your feasibility study for business, you may not need so much capital as it is needed now to industrialize in Nigeria. Once the social amenities are there, industries will come up. The youth will be busy. They'll be working and saving their money, and that will kill the mentality. What is killing us today going back to the institutions again, instead of these politicians, political leaders, working for everybody as a social collective, they are working for themselves and their family to secure their future. Because of the uncertainty, there's no guarantee of tomorrow. But if the systems are well structured and they are working, the average American boy or girl is not thinking of saving for tomorrow. Many of them don't even think of investment. They just think of how to work, get their weekly paycheck, pay their rent, keep living. But the average African, the average Nigerian is thinking of how he's going to save some money against the rainy day. Me and all of us on this platform now, anytime you don't have any saving in your account, there's a way you feel. You feel insecure. So the insecurity is affecting all of us. Because even if you're an American citizen, you still come from somewhere. You still feel insecure because the system is not working. If the system is working, you can relocate from America today with your bag. You know you will get a job in Nigeria where you get $1,000 every week. You will not suffer. But if you want to relocate back to Nigeria now, you must make sure that you have kept some amount of money that look like the ones the politicians put in a coffin and sock away pit and water tank, because that's where they hide money now. So my submission is that for the institutions to work, we have to consider the formal rules, which are the written rules. Many of them are either biased with Western bias or with Northern bias, with Northern agenda or military interest. Some of them are written in our rules, military interest to protect them. We have to reorganize those rules. Then the unwritten rules, like what the barrister have said, those people in the religious sector, cultural sector, our kings, our traditional rulers, they are all sleeping. They have roles to play, but I don't blame them, because if you make all the noise here, everybody's ear is deafened because the system is weak. So if we can really rearrange the system, we correct the rules, the written and unwritten, then the enforcement procedure. Like as I am now, I will tell you without blinking my eyes that if living in America, I can easily be a criminal. Like I can easily be seen breaking the law. But in Nigeria, I could hardly be seen breaking the law because of my level of education, the kind of job I'm doing, my achievement, certain things I do. People around think they just say, they don't see anything wrong with it because you are comfortable, you can pay your bills, you can dash some people some money. Nobody judges you to be right or wrong because of that's poverty mentality. But if the system is really working, look at, permit me to say, I know we have focus, but let me give this example, even though it may be out of place. Look at the almighty R. Kelly. Look at what the Lord did to him. And now, just last week after the judgment, YouTube has deleted all his channels, his TV stations from YouTube. Nobody is a sacred cow if the system is working. But tell me how many Nigerians that committed crimes that were discovered, that were punished. At best, if you change from PDP to APC, you are forgiven. If it's a PDP governor in power, president in power, if you change from APC to PDP, you are forgiven. So we are just making caricature. That's why I said last week that Nigeria's situation is a scary movie and not a child's play. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kavwe. Now we have moved into the question session. I saw the iPhone. Your hand is on. Please introduce yourself. David Akweri, get ready. David Akwori, am I correct? Yes. So get ready, my brother, to speak. But iPhone, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Oseloka Sawyer. I live in Chicago. Dr. Okawe is my old-time friend. We started together many years ago, and he told me about this platform. So I want to say thank you to Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Akeze.
Thank you.
Good job you guys are doing. Having said that, I said that this platform has woken me up from my own dogmatic slumber. All of us are part of the Nigerian system that unfortunately has failed us all. And then some of us are privileged to have left the shores of the country for greener pastures, as it's called. in all I can say from all that I have heard so far is this is a great opportunity for us to, first and foremost, register our voices. Our Nigerian political system, unfortunately, has no ideological framework. So that is a big problem. And then the matter of insecurity. As a doctoral candidate, I had some consultancy with both the British Council and the UN in Nigeria, in the Niger Delta, where I come from. And it was about youth unemployment and empowerment. And everybody who has spoken here so far, have really touched the real issue. But now, I am of the view that I'm going to ask my question, but I just want to give my submissions. I'm of the view that this platform have a way of synergizing with other, whether government or non-governmental organizations, in putting out some of these ideas. And again, if these meetings could be held earlier in the day, where so many people in Nigeria would be awake, so that they would be having they will share from your wealth of knowledge. I mean, these whole things are real knowledge being thrown out there, but we want it to reach out. Then my question is, and it goes to everyone, but especially to Dr. Kawe, I have some kind of concern trying to manage or marry this whole idea of the town and the gown. We say so much about the theoretical and all this. Yes, I know you use a lot of practical examples, but how best do you think that we can deal with this insecurity problem, given the fact that once any issue is raised, it's either born towards religion or born towards ethnicity and all of that? Then how do we deal with this problem as Nigerians?
Quickly, Dr. Okawe.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Seloka. I'll quickly want to add that the person who just finished speaking is actually a PhD holder in peace and conflict studies from University of Ibadan. Mm-hmm. And he's residing right now in the US. So this is his area of specialty. Mm-hmm. But I still want to add, I will answer the question, but the focus of this platform is to brew solution for the Nigerian space.
Yes.
We are not here for ideological haranguing. We have somebody who say, my own point is better than Barrister Babantunde's point. I made a more constructive no. Like I said, after the last session, it dawned on me that I was treading on dangerous grounds, that this is a very shaking ground. And I needed to be balanced. Like today, I'm supposed to be on duty today. I took a time off to respect this program. The other time, I just took a break to go participate in the program and I went back to work. But because of the size and seriousness of this issue, everybody who stayed here up to 30 minutes is very logical and rational and has something to contribute to this problem. Because if you don't have anything to contribute, whatever we're doing here will be boring. You will just log out. So I want to thank Dr. Seloka. Dr. Seloka, you just help us in mentioning this problem we are looking for solution for. The solution we are sitting down here is implementation. How do we jump from the drawing board to practice? You know, there's a little difficulty in implementing anywhere in the world. Implementation, social scientists tell you clearly that implementation, if you take 20 years to look for a solution, you need another more than 20 years to look for how to implement it. So on the basis of implementation, I want to give a little piece of practical approach, especially the one that has to do with youth. Now, I want us to look at the kind of education we give our youth. The education we give our youth, what are we educating them for? So all being said, some kind of values should be introduced into the education system. Our education should be geared towards teaching people not how to become an engineer, not how to become a lawyer, but how to teach them the truth. Education should be around values, the truth, so that the mindset of the masses will be formed on values. So the education system should not just bother about having formulas, mathematics formulas, everything on your head, but having been educated, can you recognize the truth? And can you stand by the truth? I was discussing with one of the participants who just came in now on board yesterday on this topic. And he said something very interesting about integrity. How do we inculcate integrity into the Nigerian youth, into the Nigerian citizenship? Because we don't have integrity. Let me give you a good example. The barrister Obatunde mentioned about pastors and imams, and now anything you want to do and you look around whether anybody is seeing you, nobody is seeing you, and you did it, that is, you don't have integrity. And that's how majority of us Nigerians are. Let me give you how I say that. All of us in this platform, if you want to give us lunch now, you say, let's gather in McDonald's and you provide lunch. Please, we have limited donuts. Everybody take one donut so that I can go through. But you walk into the room alone, nobody is there. Some of us will look, there's no camera there, and take two. We don't have integrity. If we have integrity, those who produce the law, those who enforce the law, will be conscious that other people are sharing this space with me. That's all I mean by institutions are public space. It's not your family business, it's not my family, it's our business. So come into it with the mind that you are securing yourself and others so that others will benefit. So I want to respond to Seloka's question that practicalizing all we are saying here, my own suggestion is that it will begin with integrity. Let's try to inculcate integrity into the average Nigerian mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kabwe. Barrister Babatunde. David, get ready.
Thank you for calling on me. I just wanted to sound on two things. The first one, I'd like to answer question number one from the chat. Question number two, I don't know, maybe I will leave that for Dr. Kaize or somebody else. But question number one on the issue of population and insecurity. We lie to ourselves when we reduce solutions to our problems to certain things that are actually minute. How large is Nigeria? 200 million? Talk China, talk India, talk Pakistan. What are we talking about? 200 million. We can handle it. We are not structured. That is our problem. We are not structured. If the country is structured, if everybody knows what to do, things will flow naturally and they will work properly. Our population is supposed to be a very good, or how do I say it, a giant opportunity for us to make use of. Nigeria has the best population in Africa right now. And in most part of the West, compare America to Nigeria, Nigeria has the better population. And what do I mean by better population? Our youth is in larger proportion to the US. US is begging people, US is begging youth to come to the US so that they can have workforce. Nigeria has the workforce, but we are not putting it into use. I saw a video of some northern children. The video was for about 6 minutes, and it was showing the line of madrasa children, the Almanjiris, lining up in the morning with plates in their hands, waiting for some people to dish out a little food for them. I mean, counting, you will count almost 1,000 youth in that lineup, waiting for someone in the morning to give them the food for the day. Why not start a good job or company that will provide job for them? So population is not our problem. Managing the population is our problem. And it's high time we start divining properly. We are so poor in Nigeria. When I say poor, we are poor intellectually. We are so weak in making use or interpreting our intellectual prowess. We don't identify issues properly. Population is not the problem. Managing the population is the problem. When I watch videos of channel televisions, Arise televisions, and these people are asking questions from the politicians, and I keep punching myself like, no, that's not the proper question, because the politician will just dribble you and get out of the. So I watched a video some years ago where they were asking Obasanjo, oh, is our population a problem? It was a BBC question. And Obasanjo said, well, it's a timing bomb. And I felt like knocking him on the head. No, population is not the timing bomb. Obasanjo contributed almost 30 children to the population, himself alone. So how could you call your children timing bomb? No, it is managing those population. Obasanjo has about 30 children. Wasiu Ayinde, the musician, has about 30 children. But all his children are graduates of universities. They are not on the streets. But you will see parents with 2, 3, 4 children, and their children are on the streets. So it is not the number of the children that is the problem. It is how do you manage it? My parents will tell you when we are growing up. I don't know how to say it in English, but I'll say it in Yoruba for people that will understand. Ready, koto ready. Meaning, you should be ready before you start dating a woman. If you are dating and you mistakenly get the lady impregnated while you are not ready economically, then that's the problem. But do I have problem with a 24-year-old getting married? No, I don't. But do I have a problem with a 30-year-old jobless man getting married? Yes, I do. So age in that wise is not the problem. No. What are you doing? I have a cousin, he's a billionaire. He got married at 23. His wife was 22. All his children came to America to school. He was paying $65,000 cash for all the children. I cannot pay my daughter tuition cash in America. So is his age too young to get married? No, he was making 3 million naira per year in 1991 with Sakamori as an engineer at that time. Then he got married. So if someone is making 3 million naira in 1991, that is around what, 100 million naira right now per month, per year. So, and he was able to get married. So we need to actually define what our problem is. And to quickly touch on number 2, which I said I won't, but I will just mention it. I am in favor of regions, but I don't have problem with Biafra if they want to go. I don't have problem with Oduduwa if they want to go. And I have no problem with Arewa if they want to go. But the question is, why are people agitating to leave? So if we limit ourselves, should Biafra go? That's not the question. The question is, why is Biafra? Why are they agitating to leave? Because if Biafra leave, they are not leaving the region that we call Nigeria. Biafra is still in the east of Africa. I'm sorry, in the east of Nigeria. And if they leave Nigeria, they will still be in the east of Nigeria. Yorubas are in the west of Nigeria. If Yoruba nation leaves Nigeria, they will still be at that exact location. So what do we mean by leaving? And why are people asking for leaving? And those are the questions that we actually need to ask ourselves. If we cannot answer why are people agitating, we are going to continue to move around the same problem for centuries yet to come. And lastly, the last speaker, Dr. Akaivu, I'm sorry, please, you have to pardon me. Akavwe. Now, I appreciate everything you said, and I'm glad that you said you are a tutor, you are a lecturer or a teacher. I was a teacher too. I taught in high school for about 5 years before I went back to study law and all that. And it's good. And it's one of the issues that we need to pay attention to. And it's still on the issue of not asking the proper question that I mentioned, or being intellectually lazy. We don't like to task ourselves. And that is the issue of education and the content of it. And when I say education, I don't mean mathematics alone. I don't mean history or social science alone or biology. No, I'm talking about the education of human beings as a person in life. What content is being put into you? When we say our education is poor, what is poor? Is it the structure, the school? Is it the teachers? Or is it the curriculum? We need to be able to identify all this. The education we pass around in Nigeria, our content in that education is so porous, it's so poor, like the doctor said, which is a very fantastic point. You are teaching a child how many political parties we have in Nigeria, how many governors we have in our state, in our country, what is the name of the deputy governor? What do I care about the name of the deputy governor? What is the deputy governor doing is what is important. What should the governor be doing? When you interview a governor and you tell the governor, and that is why I don't really like to focus too much on the religion part of it, because honestly, more than 70% of the religious content in Nigeria, they are not to develop Nigeria. When you ask a governor, how do you develop transportation in your state? And the governor said, let us be praying, God will help us. I feel like slapping that governor. How do you tell me, God, you can never ask a governor here, and the answer would be, US. You ask New York governor, and she said, God will help us. Journalist will keep pressing, like, what do you mean God will help you? God will come down and help you? Let us be praying. Prayer alone is not doing it. The Bible says Christianity or religion without work is dead. If you are not working, and what does working mean? Using our brain. You start trains moving from Lagos to Ibadan. The train is taking 2.5 hours to get to Ibadan. But I can drive on the road if there's no traffic, and I will get to Ibadan within 1 hour. Why would I go and take that train? See, so there are so many things that we need to ask the right questions. And I really, really thank the last doctor, the way he spoke, and he touched on these many things. And the last thing for the politicians in Nigeria, and why I think, because the question always come up, is the leadership the problem? Is the leaders the problem, or the followers?
Or the followers, okay. But I thank you all for your contributions. We are really very grateful that you all are here. And the reason for this platform actually is to provide solution, as all of us have been speaking about it, and also to get the word out to the people that are mostly needed, which is the youths. The youths of Nigeria, they're the one who really need to hear about this, because their contribution matters. If the politicians or the so-called religion leaders,
questions in the chat.
If the politicians and the so-called religion leaders, the youth are no longer listening to them, things will change. We need to use our voices to campaign to the youths that they have power in their hands. They can't continue to be the lay back, as Agbero then becomes they become the kidnappers and all of that. So the platform is to actually reach out to those youth to know that the system, the future of Nigeria is in their hands. So they can take it back from these so-called religious leaders. The reason why the religious leader thing came up today is important that we talk about it, because I think they have succeeded in breeding criminals in Nigeria. They are the one actually teaching them how to live a now life. They are not actually preaching what is value that we are talking about, the integrity that we are talking about. So if the mindset of the youth can change, then Nigeria will be on the right track.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nana. Thank you, Dr. Nana. I will have David speak quickly, but I know that Dr. Imachuku is pressed for time. She's one of our special guests. She has to be somewhere. Dr. Imachuku, you want to put your words in before you leave? I know you have to go to another place. Or you still have some time, please unmute.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to add a few things, not to belabor on the religious stuff, but now I think I want to address the youth directly. The issue of the youth, we're trying to find solution. Thank you very much, Dr. Mrs. Akeze. What you said is actually spot on with what I had in mind. The youth need to look within. We need to look at the present situation, and we need to stop dreaming about this fantasy Nigeria that it's probably going to be a little bit far-fetched. The government has failed us, yes, but what do we do now? So a few things I had in mind as just suggestions. On the side of the youth, to empower themselves and for people to be able to empower them, they need to stay within their powerhouse. And within their powerhouse means the reality of life. If school is not what it is, go for a vocational thing. There's a lady who started off, I think it was about 5 years ago, as the first female lady mechanic in Lagos. I don't know if you all know about her, but she got to a place where, you know, it's like when you get to a brick wall, what next? You just have to find something to do. And she went ahead and learned the skill, and she started off her own stuff. Now, when she started, the society laughed at her. People laughed at her. Oh, you want to be a woman mechanic, right? You want to show us that what a man can do, you can do, right? Which is another thing in our culture. We don't encourage certain things amongst our children because we're always looking for, like one of the speakers said, wanting to be a professional, a doctor or a pharmacist or whatever. But we are within Nigeria. What are those jobs? What are those skills that will flourish within our society? The lady started off her mechanic shop and she is doing well. We all know that cars break down in Nigeria like crazy because the place is flooded with secondhand vehicles anyway. So she's doing well and she's empowering more female mechanics. Now you have several female mechanics in different places. There's one in Abuja who is known as, I think she's Mama Volvo or something like that, because she's very good with the Volvo cars. Wow. Now, this wouldn't have happened if they weren't pushed to doing it. So the youth that we have now, the first thing they have to say no to crime, and they have to understand that they have to pick on skills that are within their reach. If you want to sell groundnut by the wayside, you can start selling groundnut today, and tomorrow you have a shop where you're selling provisions. Start within your means. And that's the way we can empower them. When you find one that is really willing to do something, encourage them in that way. I think we can encourage people like that. And some organizations are doing that right now for those who are ready to do it. And I think the more we get that mindset of you are here, find what you can do within here. And we will encourage you. And those that are doing well will encourage those coming behind them that, look, don't wait for that big money. Start off with this little thing. And that has to help with changing the culture and the mindset of our people. And I think it will also help with we've been talking about security in different ways, but it would also help with the emotional insecurity, because there's so much going on with our youth that we don't even know. Some of them have so many emotional issues. And even their parents don't know, because this is something that our society doesn't really embrace. You know, a child may be going off and we just say, oh, please leave that child, don't mind him or whatever, he's just being lazy. But the child is going through depression. The child is going through depression. And another thing that I wanted to say, I know I'm kind of rushing because of time. There are people in Nigeria who have the funds to set up factories, but they would rather take their business to factories in China.
Why are they doing?
Why can't they set up and build the factories in Nigeria and then employ this youth? There are very few people who are doing this now. I have a friend in Lagos who has set up a manufacturing factory, and he has employed a lot of people. And what he does, the way he empowers people, you come in, if you want to go to university, they will pay for you to go to university. And when you come out as a graduate, you are plugged in where you are supposed to be. We need more of those people, and we have them in Nigeria, but they are not doing what they're supposed to do. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Dr. Imachukwu. Thank you so much. Mr. David, after David, I will have Mr. Rowling put his mind a little bit, and then Adeleke. David, Rowling, and Adeleke. Over to you, David.
Yeah, thank you all, Dr. Nana Keze and Dr. Chris. I am glad to be here. And in short, there's a whole school of thought, there's a whole school of knowledge, and it's mind-blowing. I really appreciate the platform. Actually, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is terrible. Like, it's something that we have to deal with. It has become a menace. And if you want to look at it basically, you have to go back to history. I think what I've noticed, and also what Dr. Okari spoke about, the government has focused more on the political side of the country more than the economic side. That has been the case for over 40 years. There's been no blueprint development for Nigeria. In short, there is no plan economically for Nigeria. We are just passionate from one government to another. If you can have a good economy, you can have money in your economy, you can have funds in your economy, but if it is not well placed, if it is not placed in the right sector of development, it will not reflect in the society. There's poor funding of core areas in the economy. For example, there's no technical education in Nigeria. People just go to school, they read books theoretically, and they come out. If you tell them what is a plier, they don't know. So the structure is just to go to school, become a professional, and go look for work. There's a knowledge cycle that needs to change. Also, intellectual properties, like what Dr. Enrio Carvey spoke about. We don't invest on the intellectual properties. The government doesn't care about intellectual property development in that country. All they think is to bring in expatriates. If you go to the Niger Delta, the oil companies, they'll pay so much to get expatriates. They don't think about developing their own people to become expatriates. Then grassroots development. You can see that for over 50 to 60 years, it is those local farmers in the north, those women in the south doing gari, cocoa, and all those things. Those are the rural areas. There is no touch of government input into those areas to assist with farming and to also help the society to grow. So, infrastructural development, no good roads. There's no good roads. The government has no blueprint for roadmap in the country. The trains we don't even have a train network in the country. So there's a lot of things that brings about insecurity. Political monetization. There's so much money in politics. All they do is like they now run politics like business. They put so much money in politics. So by the time they become appointed leaders, they want to get their money back. It's just like going to invest in a business. And by the time you invest, you expect returns. Because those people that sponsor you to go into politics, by the time you get there, they put pressure on you to get your money back. So rather than focus on the societal challenge that you're supposed to do as a politician, you are looking at paying back your sponsors. So there's no way you can impact development in that society. Then no youth empowerment plan. The government doesn't have any youth empowerment plan apart from NYSC. What does the government has in place for the youth? By the time you graduate, you do your youth service, then you collect some stipends. Then after the 12th month, I've heard some boys say, I have to repeat this NYSC. I don't know if I go, there's any hope. So there's no youth empowerment plan. Also, over-dependence on importation. The government doesn't understand that by the time a society is over-dependent on importation, it kills nascent industry, it kills the creativity of the people, and it makes you now a slave to other nations. Like, you have some very good people in the East that are very creative, that, they're producing cars, that they can do it. I've seen some, some miniature planes that have been done, but the government doesn't care about all those innovations. All they care about is importation. If so much credence is given to importation, there is no way that the country can have the adequate development that it needs. Also, weak healthcare funding. We don't fund healthcare in Nigeria. All the drugs is all imported. So I don't want to, there's so much.
There's so much. Yeah.
There's so much. So it's the composite weight of all these factors that leads to the pressure on the economy and the pressure on the youth and the gradual deterioration of the environmental discipline, leading therefore to gradual collapse of economic structures and an immediate need for survival instincts.
Yeah.
Now the system is not working.
It's not.
The government is not working. There's therefore no security. So what people are trying to do now is to survive. So it brings about survival instinct.
So what do? We need that to be changed. That's the essence of this platform. So we need to get out the message to the youth who they are actually using to perpetuate all of this. The politicians cannot actually do anything by themselves. Yes. They are using the youths to do this. So how do we need the youths to understand that they have power in their hand, and we need their mindset to start changing, that you don't just go to church and pray and manners will just start falling from heaven for you. So they need to put action into whatever thing that they are thinking about. Yeah,
so I think like this platform and so many platforms that will arise from this is to reorientate the youth. I think what we need to do is, one, to have a platform for youth reorientation, because the moral decadence in the country due to the poor security status of that country right now is affecting the mindset of the youth. So many youths now in Nigeria are tending towards fraud. They want to get rich quick scheme. That is what they are tending. So they need to reorientate them. And I think Dr. Okavi spoke about integrity. They need to be taught the importance of integrity at the long run and the value of working and being creative. So it's going to be, I don't know if they're going to put it in the form of an educational platform, or they need to be taught in schools, but it has to start from the basics. Okay. It has to really start from the basics. Every child needs to know, I think from the home to the schools and to platforms like this, they need to be taught the importance of integrity and creativity.
Thank you so much, David. I appreciate it. I actually know that you are made of more stuffs, and I'll be inviting you to more programs. Okay, so I want Mr. Roland and Adeleke to chip in quickly. We are going to have more sessions, and I will bring you all back. You're my brothers, and I know you. So after that, the our guests to make their closing statement, because I don't want to keep everybody here for the whole day. So then we can move ahead. So Mr. Roland, please make your contribution.
Okay, thank you, Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Akeze. I beg your pardon if your names are not well pronounced. You know, Nigeria is filled with a lot of tribes, and each and every one of us, we have our different accent and our ways of pronunciation. My apologies, please. Quickly, let me start by saying Nigeria security is in shambles. Why is it in shambles? I'm very sorry today. I will not have all the time to give my points, in fact. So I'm going to make it real brief. But remember, let me take you back a little bit. Right from the credo, we were taught values, respect for our seniors, for elderly people. How do we manage to learn all of that? We were taught morals, we were taught cultural values, and we imbibed in them and we grew up with them. How did we get it like that? And in the past, if you could remember, we can sleep with our doors open. There was no issue of insecurity. How did we move from that level to the present state? I think these and many others cause for this meeting today. I will provide some of the solutions. I believe in practical values because I was raised as a practical person. Firstly, I don't want to linger too much on how we got here. So let me just move real quick. Firstly, religion. Religion. If we must get it right in Nigeria, I just want to provide solutions real quick. I have about 2, 3. If we must get it right in Nigeria, we must have to kill religion and tribe. The place of religion in our identity should be banned, should be canceled, because Nigeria has gone beyond. The Igbos want to go, the Yorubas want to go, even the Hausa, some of them today really want to go. How did we get here? This wasn't like this before, but remember our leaders in the past, they got it all wrong. In the past 61 years, there's nothing to show for it. So there's no amount of industrialization we will bring today that will get it right. No, we can't get it right now. Let's go back to the past and correct it. How did we correct? How are we going to correct it? 1, kill religion. There's no Christian in Nigeria. There's no Muslim in Nigeria. Take it away from every of our identity. If you are a Christian, then all churches need to be restructured. If you are a Muslim, all mosques need to be restructured. Keep it to yourself. Keep it far away from the government and keep it far away from its citizens. We don't want to hear it. Whatever God you want to serve, please keep it far away from us, the citizens. And all religion should be strictly cautioned. And there must be a religion tolerance for each and every one of us. So that tomorrow if I say I'm a Buddhist, you're not going to chastise me or start to look at me otherwise. You understand what I'm saying? So those 2 are my point for now. Then also, I must go further. Self-sufficiency for the youth. Because when we talk about tribalism and how to curb tribalism out and religion, that means we need to start from the younger generation, not us at this moment. But for the youth of today, how do we help ourselves? We need self-sufficiency, political stability. How do we get that? The youth of today need to go back to school. How did our leaders got it wrong in the past 61 years? Our youth need to go back to read history. A lot of us want to gain power today without knowing how the Nnamdi Azikiwe, the Awolowos, how did they even get Nigeria? How did they get an independence for Nigeria? A lot of us don't know. And how did they manage it till everything started going south? A lot of youth of today don't know. So if we must get it right, our youth of today need to be orientated. Our youth today need to be trained. One of the speakers talked about skill. I don't want to dwell on that too much. Yes, our youth today need to be well given proper skill. For instance, in Singapore, it took Singapore 20 years to get it right. And we can do it as a country, as a nation. We can get it right in the next 20 years if we have the political will. But we are sorry today, those in authority do no longer believe in the political will to get Nigeria right. All they are clamoring for is for themselves, like Dr. Ukawe said, for themselves and their family. So all the youth, we need to go into politics. Today's youth, we need to be self-sufficient. We need to get a skill. We need to be re-educated. We need to go back home and send the crusade as a campaign, not just a crusade, a campaign to the villages, to the cronies of our people that, please, we must get Nigeria right. Let's go back to the villages. Let's go talk to our people that are not educated. Tell them that their children are going to suffer. We need a mosquito crusade, I repeat. Let's go back and teach them, because a lot of these people from the north, I'm sorry to say, you know, education most likely in the south, we are a little bit educated compared to the north. I'm sorry, my northern friends, I don't know if they are here. Please, I'm not trying to, you know, talk down on the north, no. But a lot of the northern youth, I'm sorry, why they are being used today is because they lack education. So there's need for us to go back to the villages and tell the youth of today. But for the younger ones growing up, all we need for them is to eradicate tribe. Don't teach them religion. Take it out, religion and tribe, take it out from their memory and start teaching them the value system, how to make Nigeria right, how to get it right. So after that, when you have a political power, then and you have the political will, then you can make a change. But if you don't, if you have not, let me be sincere at this time. Anybody from the age of 40 in Nigeria, I'm sorry, we are corrupt. I'm above 40. Let me take it down, 25. 25, we are all corrupt. It may not be financial corruption. It could be political corruption. It could be tribal corruption. There are a lot of corruption in Nigeria. Nepotism is the height of the day. Where if Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Ekezie if they are the governor and the first lady of their state, they want to give jobs to their cronies, their siblings first, before considering me as an expert, even in the job. So on that note, I will still ask us to go back home and reorient our youth, teach them again that Nigeria is not getting it. Let's go and teach ourselves that we are not getting it and we are corrupt. That please, we must take religion out, we must take tribe out, and we must stand strong in unity. We must stand strong in unity. Then gain skill. The Nigerian youth of today needs skill. Then last but not the least is law and order. Law and order. How can I drive in Lagos, seeing a red light and I'm still driving, but I'm in America today. Before I see a yellow light, my legs are already in to stop the car. How did that happen? Law and order. There's need for us to be trained. Each and every Nigerian need to be trained about our laws. 85% of Nigeria don't even know their rights.
That's the essence of the program.
85% of Nigerians don't even know their rights. When you'll be surprised, a grown man will be accosted by a policeman. He doesn't even know what to tell the policeman. Officer, am I being arrested? What is the problem? He doesn't. He will be screaming on top of his voice, and you'll be wondering, can't you just talk to the officer politely and ask what is the problem? So there's
Thank you.
Corruption.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Rowling. Thank you so much. Like I said, I will invite you again. I know you have a lot up there. We have spoken before. Mr. Adeleke, please make it so brief so we can end the day. Mr. Adeleke. No, we can't hear you. Unmute yourself. It's probably your earpiece.
Share audio. Yeah.
We cannot hear you.
Wait.
It must be from your audio system.
The audio, maybe off, on. Yeah.
Let me use my headset again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's better now.
It's better now. It's better now.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry about that. So sorry about my headset. Thank you so much, Dr. Chris and Dr. Nana Akaize. I'm sorry about the pronunciation and all the doctors present. Like, you know, I'm sorry I missed the last one. This is a very good program and it's very enlightening. You know, it's everybody that I've spoken today have actually said a lot of great words. And, you know, first thing there is like, I feel like everybody have been saying the problem, you know, as Dr. Nana has been saying, what's the solution? You know, to me, you know, my first solution, which I think is which might be the solution of the insecurities for any organization, for any society to be insecure, it starts from the mind of the person. So, and I remember, I know I'm a young guy, but I know, you know, based on a lot of books I've read, and, you know, when the colonial people wanted to come and take over Africa, they didn't focus on the young ones. They didn't focus on the old people. They focused on the young people. It was the education system the colonial people created that the Baba Awolowo, the late Nnamdi Azikiwe benefited from. That was how they could fight for the freedom of Nigeria. So I believe, first of all, this program should be one of the main focus of this program in tackling insecurities, you know, focusing on the young youth. And, you know, how do we get to them? You know, they are youth online and they are youth in the village, which they don't have access to internet and this. You know, are we engaging them online? You know, we have various platforms that various youths do visit every day. Those that go to Insta blog, you know, maybe we can share like a sticker, create a sticker, you know, that can be posted every day that everybody come across, you know. And those that don't have access to the internet, you know, how do we get engaged to them? Maybe we can set up like a crusade or so to those thick village, you know, then we go into those village and try to engage them. You know, I believe, you know, once we start engaging people from the mind, you know, letting them, you know, reorientating them from the mind, you know, like letting them know how security of the organization is very, very vital. Believe me or not, there's little we can do with those politicians there. So we just have to focus on the people coming up. Yes. And the other point which I just want to emphasize on, you know, the empowerment of the youth. Believe me or not, like, I believe the empowerment of the youth should be anything 21st century. Me personally, I'm a cybersecurity engineer. So I'm not in support of training somebody to be a tailor, training somebody to be a mechanic now. And I will tell you the reason. We all are in America. If you go to Walmart now, we have self-checkout. In the next 1, 2, 3 years, there will be nothing like salesperson in any store in America. Every store will be using that machine, self-checkout. Why? Because there's a little kid in a little room trying to develop an app that will render you jobless. So if we have to come up with any youth empowerment, it should be, you know, one of the speakers said it earlier, you know, training youth, creating a workshop for youth on how to do something like, you know, digital marketing, you know, being involved in programming, you know, like now even President Biden just signed a bill, like, you know, trying to eradicate any gas car by 2030. So most of all these cars now, they're going to electric, and most of all these electric cars, they are programmatic cars. Programmatic cars are like they are not cars that a normal mechanical fix. Youth empowerment should be based on a 21st century education. And what I mean by 21st century, so I believe if we can try to empower the youth mind and train them based on the 21st century education, it's going to tell a lot. And and you can see a youth develop an app that can bring a lot of development to the country, Nigeria, as a whole.
Thank you, Adeleke. Stand by because I will invite you again to another session.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Now we'll go to the closing statement. Chidozie, please lead us into the closing parts of this meeting.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris.
Officer Chidozie, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
A little bit. Put a little bit more volume.
Yeah, I did. Can you hear me better now?
No, you're not audible. I barely can hear you. Okay, while you are fixing that, let's go to Babatunde Bolaji Esquire, my good friend. Your closing thoughts.
Thank you, Dr. Okaze. Chidozie, I'm sorry, I'm not taking your opportunity, your spot. I'm sure you will come back on it. Now, quickly towards the rounding off and the solution. I like what everybody else said. However, we might think we are profiling solutions, but we are still mostly talking theories. Why do I say that? I am a political scientist. I was a teacher before I became a lawyer. And I'll tell you that looking deep, first of all, let me appreciate the last speaker, Adeleke. Please, I hope Dr. Akaze has your information, because some of us that were not technology educated might be needing you for one thing or the other. So please, we'll be calling you. Now, quickly, I thank God for his presence. He said he's a young chap. He looks like a youth and part of the people we are addressing. And that is the essence of having different demographic in creating solutions for Nigeria. When you have a president that is like 80-year-old and he does not have smart 25-year-old around him, you can be sure that he will be speaking from 1920s. And that's all he knew. And that's one of the problems of the country. Now, I'm not going to be beating down on the youth, because Nigeria has gotten to the point where individualism, and that is most of the solutions we have been talking about are individual based. Empower yourself, learn mechanic, learn trade, do something by yourself. Yes, they are individual things, and that is not going to lift Nigeria up the way we think. Let me bring an example. Few months ago, I believe it was this year, some two children from one of the universities in Ogun State, I think, or Ibadan, I'm not too sure, that sold their app to US company for about $200 million. Yes, these are Nigerians. Youth went to university in Nigeria and they developed this app. I think it was maybe Google or Cash App or something, felt this is going to be a competitor. And they quickly bought them for $200 million. Now, tell me, how has that impacted Nigeria? Nothing. Individually, yes, these children have become multimillionaire in Nigerian times. But what has that done for Nigeria? Nothing. So we need to look beyond individuals. What can you do for yourself? Yes, we have to do things for ourselves. So many youths are trying. I really give it to some of them. They are really trying on their own. But if we do not address the system as a whole, if we cannot speak to power, we are only going to just be parabolating and talking around the issues without actually making impact the way it should be. If a governor I have a friend that is ITC focused. That's his business, ITC, technology information. I gave him information of Commissioner for Education in Oyo State. I gave him information for the Commissioner for Education in Edo State. At that time, my lecturer, a friend, was the Commissioner for Education in Edo State. He went to these states so that they will incorporate ICT into their curriculum, and he developed a program. Now, one of the commissioners, I'm not going to mention which one, asked, okay, bros, this is good, but how do we benefit from it? And the guy was like, when the youths are educated in technology, they will be able to create jobs that will impact the states. And the guy said, yeah, I understand that. But how does that affect us? Meaning personally. And that was how the program died. So we can be talking about youth from tomorrow till the end of the day, but we need to be able to speak to power. I don't know how this program, how this conversation that we are having today will get to the authority one way or the other. Maybe we will write a communique.
It will, Barrister.
Okay. Maybe there will be a communique that will be shared or published. Maybe there will be a snippet of this program that will be sent across board.
I told you, I said in the beginning that our last program attracted reaction from the Aso Rock. So you know that it's getting...
And I'm glad for that. So that's what I'm saying in essence is we need to start letting the authority know that they need to do for the youth. When they create the enabling environment, when we create education curriculum and the two doctors in the house, you might come into place, and people like you that are in that aspect. We are comfortable in the US, which is good, but we need to make the trial. I think that's the area that we'll look at most too, that we need to create program for them. Maybe we are not going to be expecting money, because when we expect it as a business, they will drop it. They will not do it. But when we create, and maybe a program like this, a platform like this, create a curriculum and say, okay, let the government incorporate this in the educational system in Nigeria. Maybe we can bring civic. Dr. Chris, I attest to this. You said you schooled in Ibadan. Late 70s, early 80s, when we were in elementary and secondary school, there is popular song in Yoruba.
Absolutely.
Like, what am I going to, why should I become a thief in my life? Instead of becoming a thief, I will
turn to a slave.
Turn to a slave or do some petty jobs and things like that. Those are the civic education. That's not church. Those are civic education. So if we can bring that back into our curriculum, maybe that will help. Inculcate it in the children right from the youth, because somebody said 25-year-old last time. I would say 2-year-old. Show a 2-year-old dollar. Show a 2-year-old naira. The 2-year-old will go for dollar, because that is how bastardized everything has become. So we need to speak to the power, and we need to also give them what to do. Create programs, content for the government, and try to sell it to them and let them bring it to the society. I think those are the ways we can go. But lastly, though, one other problem that I identify and that we need to speak to power about is the spirit of impunity. It has to do with what the doctor said the last time about integrity. So that problem of impunity, and that's why I don't blame our youths too much. If the pastor of my church is doing birthday and he asks us indirectly that we have to buy a Jeep for him, and the church contributed money and bought Jeep for the pastor's birthday. Now, my 10-year-old is doing birthday. You now gave him $20, or he will look at it like, oh, so it's only pastor that deserves a new Jeep. And that is how we corrupt our youth. solves. So now telling that youth that you shouldn't be focused on money. Yeah, the church is telling me to focus on money. The church is telling me poverty is a sin. The church is telling me if I'm struggling, I'm not doing right. So we need to change our values as a society. Then the youth will learn from that.
Thank you. Thank you, Barrister. Thank you so much. Chidozie, real quick. Chidozie, my brother. Go ahead.
Dr. Chris? Hey, am I audible now?
Yes.
Better.
Barely.
Yes.
I want to thank you guys so much for this platform. It's really like educating, and believe me, I've learned a whole lot from today, about things that can really go a long way in changing our society and Nigeria as a whole. And my conclusion is like, it is like a plea. The government has roles to play in certain ways to help us out as a nation, providing like a suitable and enabling environment, social amenities like Dr. Okave always says, electricity, good roads, our youths, people like with finances, we could actually set up. I mean, there's a saying in America that over 90% of first-time businesses or industries die off on their own, and that is in America. Imagine a country like Nigeria, when you don't have resources, you have to buy gas to provide electricity, and still have to provide security. Starting up like an industry in a country like that, it's almost close to impossible to survive. Enabling environment by providing finances, good education, and like I said, social amenities are really important. That will really help us to move further in our nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chidozie. Thank you so much. Dr. Okavwe, please give us the final statement. Unmute.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody that has participated and the organizers. My final statement is going to come on addressing to the youth too. I want to take a little side with the youth and also caution them on the different wrong information and misinformation that is widespread. Thanks to social media, but social media has also done us so bad, because today we see a lot of uneducated, ignorant people who call themselves public speakers, bloggers. They go online and tell our youth what to do. And many people, once they see anything on Facebook, they hold on to it. Some of this attitude, widespread disillusionment, and inertia in the attitude of our youth are things that are copied from internet. I like to be specific. The other time, we have a transgender in Nigeria called Bobrisky going online and telling youth girls how to seduce sugar daddies, how to manage sugar daddies, how to make sugar daddies buy you car, make sure that you do this, how to service a man very well so that anything you tell the man, he gives you. And those things are online on social media. So our youth feel that because before you have to be educated, you have to be in the academia to produce a speech in newspaper. Before a newspaper editor would your article and publish it, there will be a lot of editing. They turn down a lot of write-ups. But with social media now, every fool will just go there and post something, and the consumers just take everything that is written on black and white on the internet. Many people just live by it. So our youth also have to be cautioned, to be critical minded, because some of this information could also lead them astray. And that takes me to my last point, which is history. Rollins made mention about history. You cannot solve any problem without taking a look back to where we are coming from. So this problem of the insecurity and lack of empowerment of the youth, if we have to understand it, we have to look back to the historical process of the Nigerian society. if we look back to the historical process of the Nigerian society, we'll find out that the insecurity, the underdevelopment is not, we may just look at it as a perennial problem. It's not a perennial problem. Perennial problems most times are universal problems. They cut across every nation. Development is a perennial problem. But the Nigerian situation is not just a perennial problem. The current situation we have in Nigeria is a philosophical problem. Why do I say it's a philosophical problem? A philosophical problem is a problem that arises within a given context, within a given history, within a given time, and within a given place. So given the Nigerian history, whatever situation we find ourselves now is peculiar to our story, to our process. So we have to retract back to that process and see how we right the wrongs. So to say it in a layman's language, most of the, not that we've not had solutions to this problem, but most of the solutions have been trying to patch. No, we've not had a complete overhauling. What Nigeria is like a dead engine that the mileage is over 700 million. So the engine of Nigeria needs to be put off and restart. We don't need to patch. We need to tell ourselves the truth that it's gone. Nigeria is a wasted country. So let's stop it and start it all over. So if we keep trying to patch, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Like I listened to Dr. Ima Chukwu also when she was saying we have to encourage youth to do handwork, to do. I agree, but that's an old-time solution that didn't bring anything. You cannot. I will not take to that. I beg to differ. By profession, I'm an anarchist. So but intellectual anarchist, not a political anarchist. So I don't subscribe to saying encourage youth to start selling groundnut by the junction. When he finishes selling groundnut, he will now open a store and sell clothes. The person's life is wasting. How can selling by the roadside, first of all, if the society is well planned, you shouldn't see hawkers by the roadside. It's a sign of a failed state. So truth be said, I have a friend, like we're talking about political, religious leaders, who was a classmate to Reverend Father in Nigeria, but he dropped out. He went to meet the Reverend Father, empower me, let me see I can start business. The Reverend Father said, go and start selling pure water. Start from somewhere, don't put eye in big things. He said, no, I don't have a truck to sell pure water. I said, no, who is talking about truck? Carry one of your mother's cooler, put ice blocks, sit by the junction. Somebody who has 2 degrees, a degree in philosophy, a degree in theology, he will put water in food flags and sell at the junction. How much is going to make it? Those are not realistic ideas. So I beg to differ, but no apologies. I don't agree with encouraging any youth to go and sell groundnut by the road. It's child abuse in the first place. The system should arrange the marketing system very well so that we can key into it with loans, job opportunities, and better prospects to do better things. Some of our girls have been raped on the street side and on uncompleted buildings for hawking, for selling things. And some of them have kids today that they don't have fathers. What about those kind of situations? So I don't want us to consume everything that we think I'll say about, but we should be very critical and know that the solution for me is overhauling. Quench, put off the Nigerian engine, start it again so that we can start it correctly. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming on the program. If we continue, we might even spend till whatever middle of the night here. So we are very encouraged because this program is just starting, although I have actually been on it since 2 years. So now we just took it to this new level. And I want to thank everyone that contributed today. Misa, thank you for sharing the program. I want to also encourage every one of us here to share, because last week, after the program, that's when we got the message that their ministry there, they were, disclaiming that it was not the Minister of Defense and all that. So they are getting the word. And if we continue, the essence of the program is actually to reach the youth, like I said from the beginning, from their mind to start changing. Once their mind start changing, things will change. We all know if we do not love our country, Nigeria, we will not be here. So the essence is the institutions that are not functioning. They are not functioning. So we need overhauling, as Dr. Kave is saying. Every one of us agreed on that. So once the institution change, everything will be all right. So we will continue again in our next.
And so I want to thank you all for joining us today, Dr. Kavwe, Dr. Machuku, Chidozie, my brother, barrister, and my friend, my neighbor, Babatunde Bolaji. I thank you all. Dr. Kavwe, you have something to say?
Mm-hmm.
Please, I want to quickly say something. The person who posted the questions on the platform that talk about population, he's very busy at the moment. I invited him too. He's a PhD holder and a former lecturer from University of Ibadan, but he resides here in the US. So his question is very deep. We should consider it in our next program. But I'm sure by the next time he will be live with us. He just said I should add his voice to say where he is, he cannot talk. That's why he typed in his question. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So I want to thank you all for joining us. Next, we will be treating food insecurity. I'm inviting one of my professor friend from Nigeria, from University of Port Harcourt, who will be our guest. And I also invite some of you, my guests. Please oblige us when we invite you. It's an initiative that will help change things in Nigeria. My wife and I were passionate about it because that's the country we love. We actually want to go back one day and say, this is our country, and show it to our children. Please, guys, we'll hang in here again, and then we'll invite you all, oblige us as you have the time, and help us spread the news because it's just starting. Thank you all for joining us today. We'll make snippets of, clips of this program, and we'll share it widely. And if you see it, please help us share it. Thank you again. David, Roland, and everyone who spoke, Misan, Emmanuel, everybody here.
It's Rawlings, not Roland, Rawlings.
Okay, Rawlings.
Oh, Rawlings. Okay, Rawlings. Thank you so much, my brothers.
Thank you so
and
much.
Chidozie, call me later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Yeah. Hold on one second.